Representative Cowan, the last question goes to you. The western border of the 2nd Congressional District is the Chattahoochee River, which is at the center of the water wars. The negotiations among the governors of Georgia, Alabama, and Florida are stalled and probably will not resume until after 3 new governors are in office. However, the Corps of Engineers plays a key role in several areas. Would you support legislation requiring the Corps to recognize sustainability, consumptive use, and conservative initiatives as part of its deliberations on the water issues?
Definitely. I think we know that water is huge for Southwest Georgia. Florida has made some unreasonable demands for high guaranteed flows regardless of rainfall. How do you figure that out? Where does it rain? God sends the rain. Nobody knows how much it's going to rain. Ultimately, to guarantee those high flows, the government would target agriculture and insist on, pulling back on some irrigation. Thankfully, a federal judge just last month dismissed those claims and for high guaranteed flows. The federal judge ruled last year that that Lake Lanier, when authorized by Congress back in 1946, was not authorized for water for consumptive use. And he gave us 3 years in Congress to try to reauthorize the use of the water from Lake Lanier. 3 years. Think about that for just a moment. 3 years to do something that we're already doing. 3 years to do something that already works. We ought to be able to reauthorize this in a few days. It's another good example of how big government wants to intrude on our lives and into the state. I'll work in Congress to get this reauthorization done next year.
Congressman Bishop, 60 seconds to elect.
As a strong supporter of agriculture, I have congressionally directed funding to irrigators to improve irrigation efficiency and reduce runoff, and to place monitors so that we can actually prove from research how little the farmers actually use and consume that water. In our water fights, it's really a fight between regions. The northern region, the upstream people who are taking away the water from we who are downstream. So actually it's not a Georgia fight, it's a southwest Georgia, southeast Alabama, and a Florida fight, because we are challenged by the North Georgia effort. So I've stood with the people of Columbus because we want to make sure that we can consistently comply with our obligations with regard to our discharge when we finish using the water from the Chattahoochee and send it down to Florida. We've done that well, and we want to make sure that the Corps, the government, does everything possible to maintain the flow so that we can do our part to do our responsibilities, and we've done that and we've discharged it well.
Thank you, Congressman. 30 seconds to respond. Representative Cowan.
I'll be quicker than that. I can just say, again, no doubt about it, I will protect the water rights of Southwest Georgians. Make sure the water coming out of it, that flows through Atlanta, comes through there in flow that will be sufficient to handle the downstream issues and also be clean as it should. But we will make sure that Southwest Georgia water is protected.
And now closing statements from both of our candidates. We'll begin with you, Representative Cowan. You have 60 seconds.
Who do you trust? I mean, that's what this race is all about. When's the last time you laid down at night and said to yourself, I can sleep well at night because I have a guy in Washington that's watching out for me? Been a while, hasn't it? Yeah. I go to bed every night worried about what the folks in Washington are going to do to me before I wake up in the morning. As a mayor of a small town, a county school board member, and a state representative, I have a track record of standing up for the people who elect me and expect me to represent them. I don't tell them one thing to do something else. There are no surprises with me. What you see is what you get. So I'm asking you to hire me to do a job to represent you in Washington and not the other way around. And if you hire me, I'll never forget that I work for you. Thank you for letting me come tonight.
Your closing statement, you have 60 seconds.
This is a job that does not belong to me. It belongs to the people of the district. And I've always tried to make decisions based on what I believe to be best for our district. I've tried to represent our values: God, country, work, family, and guns. I've listened to the people, and when the people were divided, I prayed for wisdom to make the right choices. I have great confidence in the people. They'll not be fooled. because they know that I've delivered for them in good times and bad times, in flood and in drought. They know I've given good account of my stewardship. There are 435 other members of Congress fighting in these challenging times for a piece of the American pie. By the grace of God and your faith in me, I'm in a position to not only have a seat at the table, but to help slice that pie in portions worthy of the people of the 2nd District. I want to continue being your servant, a proven leader working for you.